5 dictator African presidents still alive. Hello everyone. In this video, we shall be talking about African dictators who are still alive. African presidents are generally known to hold on to power, so they can manipulate and enrich themselves in the process. African dictator presidents have been a prominent feature of the continent's political landscape since the post-independence era. These leaders have often come to power through coups or other means and have maintained their grip on power through various means, including repression of political opposition, suppression of civil society, and manipulation of elections. Despite the significant challenges faced by many African countries, including poverty, inequality, and conflict, these leaders have often prioritized their own interests over those of their citizens. They have been accused of human rights abuses, corruption, and mismanagement of public resources, leading to economic stagnation and underdevelopment. In recent years, there has been a growing movement for democratic reform and good governance in many African countries, with citizens demanding greater accountability from their leaders and pushing back against authoritarianism. However, many of these leaders continue to hold on to power, making the struggle for democracy and good governance an ongoing challenge for the continent. Before we proceed, take a few seconds and subscribe to our channel and turn on notification so you don't miss any of our videos. 5. Denis Sassou Nguesso, President of the Republic of Congo. Denis Sassou Nguesso is the current President of the Republic of Congo, a position he has held for 26 years. He first came to power in 1979 through a military coup and ruled until 1992 when he lost the country's first multi-party elections. However, he regained power in 1997 after a civil war and has been in power ever since, winning several contested elections, which have been criticized by opposition parties and international observers. Sassou Nguesso has been involved in regional and international diplomacy, serving as the chairperson of the African Union from 2006 to 2007, and as the chairperson of the Economic Community of Central African States from 2015 to 2016. He has also been involved in efforts to resolve conflicts in the region, including the civil war in the neighboring Democratic Republic of Congo. Denis Sassou Nguesso has faced significant criticism from various quarters during his long tenure in power. One of the main criticisms leveled against him is his authoritarian style of governance, characterized by crackdowns on opposition parties, civil society groups, and independent media. His government has been accused of human rights abuses, including extrajudicial killings, torture, and arbitrary arrests and detentions. Sassou Nguesso's government has also been criticized for its poor record on corruption and mismanagement of public resources. Despite the country's significant oil wealth, poverty and inequality remain widespread, and the government has been accused of failing to use these resources effectively to improve the lives of its citizens. Opposition parties and civil society groups have also accused Sassou Nguesso of rigging elections and undermining democratic institutions, including the judiciary and the Electoral Commission. The international community has also been critical of Sassou Nguesso's government, with some Western countries imposing sanctions on his close associates for their alleged involvement in corruption and human rights abuses. 4. Yoweri Museveni, President of Uganda. Yoweri Museveni has been the president of Uganda since 1986, making him one of Africa's longest-serving leaders. Museveni has been the president of Uganda for 37 years. He came to power after leading a successful armed rebellion against the government of Milton Obote. Under Museveni's leadership, Uganda has made significant progress in several areas, including healthcare, education, and infrastructure development. His government has also been credited with stabilizing the country after years of conflict and instability. However, Museveni's government has faced criticism from various quarters, particularly on issues of democracy and human rights. His government has been accused of suppressing political opposition, limiting freedom of expression, and using state institutions to intimidate and harass critics and journalists. Museveni's government has also faced criticism for its handling of corruption and the mismanagement of public resources. Despite the country's significant natural resources, poverty and inequality remain widespread, and the government has been accused of failing to use these resources effectively to improve the lives of its citizens. In recent years, Museveni's government has faced growing opposition from younger generations, who are increasingly demanding change and better governance. The government has responded by cracking down on opposition voices and limiting internet access during elections. 3. Isaias Afwerki, President of Eritrea. Isaias Afwerki is the first and current president of Eritrea, a small country in the Horn of Africa. He has been in power since Eritrea gained independence from Ethiopia in 1993, making him one of Africa's longest-serving leaders. During his time in power, Afwerki has been credited with leading Eritrea to independence and building a strong sense of national identity. He has also implemented policies aimed at improving the country's economy, including investments in infrastructure, education, and healthcare. However, his government has also been criticized for its human rights record, including the lack of press freedom, restrictions on political opposition, and the use of forced labor. The government has been accused of detaining and torturing political dissidents and journalists without trial and limiting freedom of expression. Afwerki's government has also been accused of limiting access to basic services such as healthcare and education, with significant portions of the population living in poverty despite the country's significant natural resources. Eritrea has also been involved in several regional conflicts, including a border dispute with Ethiopia that lasted from 1998 to 2000. The conflict resulted in the deaths of tens of thousands of people and caused significant economic damage to both countries. 2. Paul Biya, President of Cameroon. Paul Biya has been the president of Cameroon for 40 years. He took office in 1984, and today he is known as the absentee president. He is currently the second longest-serving president in Africa after Obiang Nguema, the current president of the Equatorial Guinea. He came to power after serving as prime minister under President Amadou Ahidjo and has been re-elected several times since then, most recently in 2018. Under Biya's leadership, Cameroon has made some progress in areas such as healthcare, education, and infrastructure development. However, his government has also faced significant criticism, particularly on issues of democracy and human rights. Biya's government has been accused of suppressing political opposition, limiting freedom of expression, and using state institutions to intimidate and harass critics and journalists. The government has also been criticized for its handling of the crisis in the Anglophone regions of the country, where separatist groups have been fighting for independence since 2016. The conflict has led to significant violence and displacement, with both separatist groups and government forces accused of human rights abuses. Biya has refused to leave power, and there has been recent rumors that he is sick and unable to adequately perform his duties of president. Cameroon has also faced significant challenges in managing its economy, with high levels of poverty and inequality despite the country's significant natural resources. Biya's government has been criticized for its handling of the economy, including allegations of corruption and mismanagement of public resources. Cameroon will be conducting a presidential election in 2025, and Paul Biya, at the age of 91, says he will still run for president. 1. Obiang Nguema, President of the Equatorial Guinea. This is Obiang Nguema, the current president of the tiny oil-rich country of Equatorial Guinea. President Obiang has been in power since 1979, making him the longest-serving president not only in Africa but the world. During his time in office, he has been accused of numerous human rights violations, including torture, extrajudicial killings, and suppression of political opposition. Despite the country's immense wealth, much of it has been siphoned off by the president and his inner circle, leaving little for the average citizen. Obiang Nguema's son, Tiborin, live an extremely lavish lifestyle. The president himself is known for his extravagant lifestyle, which includes owning a fleet of luxury cars and a private jet, as well as numerous properties around the world. He has been accused of spending millions of dollars on personal expenses, including a lavish lifestyle for his family. The extent of the corruption in Equatorial Guinea under President Obiang's regime is staggering. In 2004, a U.S. Senate investigation found that more than $700 million of the country's oil revenue had gone missing, and much of it was believed to have been siphoned off by the president and his family. Meanwhile, the country's infrastructure and public services remain woefully inadequate. There is a severe shortage of healthcare facilities, and those that do exist are often poorly equipped and staffed. Access to education is also limited, with many children unable to attend school due to poverty. The country's political opposition is routinely harassed and persecuted, with many activists and journalists arrested and imprisoned for speaking out against the government. In 2017, The government banned all opposition political parties, effectively ensuring that President Obiang and his party would remain in power. The international community has been vocal in its criticism of President Obiang's regime and the country's human rights abuses. However, despite sanctions and other measures imposed by the United States and other countries, little progress has been made in improving the lives of the country's citizens. Thanks for watching this video, and subscribe to the channel for more.